Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, February 23rd, 2018. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. 37 students who have successfully completed their course of study at all 4 campuses of the University of the West Indies were earlier today commended for their display of excellence in a number of areas which are expected to contribute to SVG's developmental trust. The commendations were rendered during the 2018 UWI Open Campus SVG recognition ceremony held at the Methodist Church Hall, with a feature address presented by educator and former headmistress of the St. Vincent Girls High School, Andrea Bowman. Nikita Tony tells us more in this report.
37 graduates who have successfully completed their course of study at all 4 campuses of the University of the West Indies, UWI, were formally recognized for their academic achievements in various disciplines, including medical sciences, management studies, education, accounting, and natural sciences, at the UWI Open Campus SVG Recognition of Graduates ceremony at the Methodist Church Hall earlier today, Friday, February 24th. In her remarks, head of the UWI Open Campus St. Lucia, Dr. Veronica Simon, said the UWI has identified itself not only as a regional leader, but as a producer of leaders both regionally and internationally.
Ours is a university created by people arising from the mental depression of centuries of colonization and abuse. Centuries of being taught that we are less than, not as good as. Yet, you can be assured today that your UE certificate will take you places. It will open doors, and it will receive acceptance from the very societies that dismissed us as inept post-colonials.
Dr. Simon went on to commend the graduates for achieving academic excellence in a variety of academic specialities.
I note that an impressive number of you have graduated with first-class honors, and I offer special congratulations to those of you who have distinguished yourselves by such excellence. This is quite a considerable array of expertise now available to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I am proud that you have taken the steps towards ensuring that your country's needs in these key areas are being addressed.
The 2018 Valedictorian Award went to Hannah Hamilton, who received her Bachelor's of Education degree in Educational Leadership and Management with first-class honors. Hamilton urged her fellow colleagues to keep moving forward as they strive for greater achievements.
After years of hard work and dedication, we can proudly utter the words of Ralph Emerson. What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. What we have within us is the knowledge we have gained from our experiences and various courses. My fellow graduates, the question now is, what are we going to do with this knowledge?
Also expressing commendations to the graduates was featured speaker Andrea Bowman, who presented on the topic acknowledging contradiction and subverting the narrative of the superstructure. Bowman noted that while the utilitarian aspects of the benefits of education are obvious and real, she is concerned about what education is doing to the hearts of those who pursue it.
Our education has provided us with intellectual skills that guide us as to how to think, not what to think. What we do with this training is our choice, and we can choose to subvert an historical narrative which tells us that our identity is restricted to the mimicry of a European model. Let us allow what we regard as our contradictions to teach us how to love ourselves fully for our own benefit.
Established in 1948, the UWI will this year celebrate 70 years of existence. The regional giant now boasts some 4 campuses with a current student enrollment of 50,000. The UWI Open Campus will also this year celebrate 10 years since it came into being. Nikita Tony reporting for SVG-TV News.
A Justice for Women protest reportedly disrupted briefly a public lecture being delivered at the time by this country's Prime Minister, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, in Barbados last evening. B.M. Gonzalez, who was delivering his second lecture for the day at the University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, on the topic Helping Hands or Damaging Lands, the Effects of International Relief on CARICOM Small Island Developing States, was reportedly disrupted by a small group of placard-bearing protesters. According to an article published by the news agency Barbados Today, the protest comes amid rising public pressure on Dr. Gonzalez over his handling of the Yugi Farrell saga involving his son and Finance Minister Camilo Gonzalez. The protesters were identified by the news agency as lecturer in political science at the Cave Hill campus, Dr. Christina Hines, public relations officer of the National Organization for Women, Marsha Hines, and Lucy Hammonds, a member of the Life in Leggings movement. The protest is said to have lasted for about 10 minutes before security officials intervened and escorted members of the group out of the lecture theater. Here is a look at a video which circulated on Facebook last evening showing parts of what transpired at the event held inside the Cave Hill campus lecture theater.
For all. Justice for all.
I wonder,
justice for all.
I wonder if my dear sisters, at some appropriate time.
This is appropriate.
No, just bear with me now. Just bear with me.
We have been bearing, sir.
At some appropriate time, I am prepared to have a discussion with you with all of those issues which you have raised. I think they're important issues.
They are important issues that require addressing, not silence, not dignified silence.
We came here to hear the Prime Minister now.
Over the last 10 years, over the last 20 years, I will not be silenced, just as Mr. Carmijan is not silenced for all that he believes in. Justice for women and for all.
Owners of small and medium enterprises here in SVG have been given the opportunity to strengthen their capacity to export to new markets and increase their global competitiveness through the High Export Potential Program, the High Expo, headed by Invest SVG in collaboration with the Caribbean Export Development Agency. High Expo training is expected to uplift small and medium enterprises so that they can better contribute to an overall improvement of SVG's economy. Speaking at the program's official launch earlier today, Chairman of the Board of Invest SVG, Anthony Regisford, commended Invest SVG for seeing it fit to give greater attention to the issue of export development.
The Caribbean export development is involved because it gives the program some outside objectivity. When you are close to the ground, when you're close to the story, sometimes you miss things right under your nose. You only need one or two people, you know. It's not as if we're trying to turn every potential exporter into a success. That would be great, okay? But realistically speaking, if we get excellence from 1, 2, or 3 exporters who can reach into regional and international markets and put our products on the map, whatever products that they represent, put the name of St. Vincent on the map, it sets the trend, it sets the pace, it makes people believe that these things are possible.
Pointing out that she has high expectations for the High Expo initiative, Executive Director of Invest SVG, Annette Mark, stressed the need for producers to maintain a high standard of products.
We really want to see our export market grow, and that is one of our big focus this year, is actually export development, and this program actually fits in perfectly with trying to develop our export market. One of you have a responsibility to make sure that whatever you do comes up and it reaches that standard that can stand the test of international markets and our own local markets. It's okay for us to say that we want to produce and we want to make our dent in the market, but we cannot do it with substandard products. So it is important that we do this.
Competitiveness and Innovation Manager at the Caribbean Export Development Agency, Chris McNair, applauded Invest SVG's approach in addressing export development.
Very happy to be here. We're very excited by what we're seeing. We're very excited by what we're hearing. The kind of approaches that Invest in SVG is talking about are approaches we have seen work in other countries in the region. For example, the Expo program is something that Jamaica started about 15 years ago. And they had a program called Export Max, where they actually took companies and supported them over a period of time and developed their capacity to export. So what this program does, it allows Caribbean Export and Invest SVG to develop a long-term relationship with the company. We assess you, we find out where the gaps are, and we and the partners provide support. And that support can be financial, that support can be technical assistance, and when we think you're ready, we take you to the markets.
If the government of SVG is serious about stimulating the economy, more would be given to the poor. That's according to President of the Public Service Union, Elroy Boucher, as he spoke on the program PSU Speaks on NBC Radio on Thursday, discussing the recently enacted taxation provisions. Boucher stated that of the 3 tax brackets, the top earners will be the ones benefiting from the provisions, adding that this will not stimulate growth in the economy.
So you went to the top and you reduced that. You moved the threshold. But the man at the top benefiting from the movement of the threshold,
exactly,
plus having his taxes reduced.
Right.
The people in the middle, so he is having a positive impact twice. More money for him to put in where? His bank account. It is impossible for him to stimulate the economy. There are some 600 workers who are right at the bottom. They get nothing.
Exactly.
But they are the ones who are living from paycheck to paycheck, mainly, and middle income earners. They're the ones. They get absolutely nothing. So they're not going to be spending because they have nothing to spend. While those at the top who benefit the most are going to bank what they have.
Exactly.
So where is the stimulation coming from? Who is fooling who? And you have this as the poor people's budget. Who is fooling who?
The PSU president further noted that for the economy to grow, persons in the lower brackets must be given greater spending powers, adding that a serious government will do more for workers in the lower paid brackets.
And go to the bottom and take off a little something. So make it 8%. Make the 20, make the 30, 25. And make the 20, 15.
Exactly.
You want people to get more? Give them more. They are the ones who are going to spend. They are the ones who are living from paycheck to paycheck. They are the ones who have any difficulty making ends meet, especially with this high fuel surcharge. And we even get to the VAT and that yet. They are the ones. But yet, and what struck me, is that who sits down in budget meeting and decides this? They're all top earners. So when they're making these decisions, I'm pretty sure that they're saying, let's see how we could get a little bit more. And that is what has happened. If the government is really serious about stimulating the economy, they will give more to the poor.
Highlighting the benefits which public servants in the higher bracket is set to receive, grievance officer of the PSU, Kenson King, has said the spending powers of such persons does little for the economy.
These people in the higher tax brackets, right? Technically, they don't have to pay. They don't have to touch their salaries, Javel. They don't have to touch their salaries. Because technically, everything is paid for by the taxpayer. So they don't have to touch their salaries. The Prime Minister, Leader of the Opposition, Ministers, Parliamentary Secretary, Speaker, elected member, Senator, all these people don't have to touch their salaries. Their allowances alone is enough to take them through the year. A matter of fact, their allowances can pay workers You know? But yet, these are the people who are still putting pressure, and you never hear them say, I'm going to take a tax cut or I'm going to give up one of my allowance. Never. You know? But yet, they're putting pressure on the smaller man who is the one who has to keep stimulating the economy, not them.
General Secretary of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Teachers Union, Paulette Williams, has put forward the claim that many female teachers in the country and around the world are suffering in silence. Williams, who is also head of the Gender Committee of the Teachers Union, recently attended the Educational International Women in Leadership Seminar in Morocco and described it as a great learning experience. The Teachers Union executive members said that there is a worldwide concern that when female educators raise complaints about males in the education system, the issue is slighted.
People would still suffer in silence because they know that if they were to come out and identify the perpetrators, it could mean the loss of your job. You know, they think about job security. It could stretch all the way into your family, all your family members being affected. In other words, it's a kind of bread and butter issue, in addition to the fact that even though the women themselves have not done anything wrong, they still are afraid of being shamed. And so they would rather suffer in silence. But I think that the time has come for us to really discuss practical ways in which we can break the silence, get our women to feel empowered. Some of us as women, we don't support one another. We don't encourage one another. And so even though we are being victimized, we would want to make excuses for the perpetrators of whether it is violence, you know, against women, whether it is denying women their human rights in any other area. We want to make excuses for the perpetrators rather than support and encourage our sisters. And I'm saying this has to stop.
Williams said men and boys need to be educated on how they should treat female, noting this will be a form of preventing abuse.
To educate our men and boys, because they have to understand that they're doing damage to their sisters, to somebody's daughter, to somebody's mother. They're doing damage, and they're preventing practically 50% of the population from really achieving their goals and being productive members of the society. Because if women are fearful, women are afraid, they're cowed, they don't feel like they have a voice, they're not able to contribute equally to the development of our society. It's a win-win situation if we cut out this gender-based violence, if we allow women to self-actualize. Men, I'm saying to my brothers, if you do that, you don't lose anything, you don't give up anything by allowing a woman to come into what is rightfully hers.
In some police news now, we hear that the police here are investigating the circumstances surrounding two shooting incidents on Thursday, one in the Redemption Shops area and the other in Otley Hall. According to the police, at around 7:05 a.m. on Thursday, Rayshon Gibson, a 23-year-old laborer of Redemption Shops, was shot in his left wrist while walking along the Redemption Shops public road by an unknown named assailants wearing a hoodie. The police say, according to information received, the victim was chased by the assailant who pointed a gun at him and opened fire. Gibson was taken to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital where he was treated and discharged. The other shooting incident on Thursday at about 9:37 p.m. in the Otley Hall area. The police say, according to reports, 3 unknown assailants came out of bushes and opened fire on 3 Otley Hall men. Carlos John, a 48-year-old businessman, received gunshot injuries to his right shoulder, right leg, and his mouth. Aishin Adams, a 23-year-old laborer, received gunshot injuries to his left leg, abdomen, and left hand. And Jemiah Darche, a 17-year-old laborer, received a gunshot injury to his right foot. The 3 men were rushed to the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital and are receiving medical attention. James and Darche are reported to be in stable condition. Aishin Adams, however, is said to be in serious condition. The police are asking anyone with information that will assist in the investigation of the shooting incidents to contact the officer in charge of the Criminal Investigations Department, the Major Crimes Unit, or any police station in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Still in police news, investigation is also taking place into an attempted burglary in Stubbs, which occurred at about 9:05 p.m. on Thursday. The police say, according to reports, 2 masked gunmen entered a shop owned by Connie Dixon and opened fire. At the time of the incident, Connie Dixon and her brother Jamal Dixon were in the shop. Connie took covered by ducking while Jamal ran from the shop and damaged his hip in the process. Jamal Dixon is currently a patient at the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital. He is reportedly in stable condition. The police are also investigating a report made against Portaline Wilson, a 60-year-old farmer of Lomans Hill. The police say it was reported that Wilson, while she was in custody of a juvenile who is 5 years of age, assaulted her in a manner that would likely cause injury to her health by kicking and beating said juvenile about her body with her feet and hands. The incident is said to have occurred at Lomans Hill sometime this year between January 1st and February 19th.